Good morning. Love is an abstract concept, so really, if we were going to have a discussion about love, we would have to define our terms. Because my concept of love is very different to everybody else's. And then somebody asked me last night what my concept of love was, and I said love is a way of being in the world. And it'd be very easy to just throw that out there and not explain it, but I will explain it. I was talking, I think yesterday, I was saying, like, how I say love is an addiction as bad as any other, but really, like, that's only if you lose control of yourself. And it's the same with any other drug. Like, some people say love is a drug, but that's sort of the same thing as I was saying. It called, oxytocin, doxin in the same receptors as heroin. But I was saying, like, that it only becomes an addiction if you don't stay in control of yourself, and how easily you can lose control of yourself in this. As I was saying yesterday, that is the hardest emotion of all to control, and if you don't define your concept, you'll very easily lose yourself. And what I mean by my love as a way of being in the world is the same as someone who's angry with me or turns on me. I look at it and say, this is amazing fucking theatre. But it's full realisation that they don't have any control over themselves. And that this is the universe. I nearly just look straight past them, and I disregard any agency they might have. I say they don't have any agency. They're not in control of themselves. So I address the universe directly. I don't even address them and say, what's this? You know what I mean? I don't even ask. They don't even know the reason themselves, so I don't even engage with them, like, in that regard. But I just enjoy the theatre. And with love, it's sort of it can be very much the same if they're not in control of themselves, if they're not thinking for themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? If their actions are determined by their feelings. And really, like, so when I say, like, love is a way of being in the world, I mean, like, Rumi said, like, stay breaking your heart till it opens. And that more or less means, like, stay breaking your heart till it opens. If you stick with the Western concept of love, like, you are mine and I am yours, and I'm not going to address my insecurities, but I'm going to impose sanctions on you to accommodate them, then you don't get to stay in control of yourself at all. Another person controls you based on their insecurities. Do you know what I'm saying? So basically, like, this is possession, which then causes jealousy, anger, all sorts of different emotions, like, and then it might be just that they don't like the way you dress, they don't like some aspects of your character, so they just decide to change them. And then you see, I suppose in turn, then, if you were to stay in control of yourself, you could look at yourself and say, do I want to change? Do I want to change? But let me tell you, that's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. And really, like, when it's all said and done, nothing will enslave you quicker than your desires. And this is my thought for this morning, that nothing will enslave you quicker than your desires. And if you desire somebody else, like, or want to possess somebody else, and you change accordingly, let me tell you, that is a slippery, slippery, slippery slope. Before you know what's going on, you'll have completely lost yourself, and you'll be lost yourself. It'll be like an addiction. You'd have lost yourself, and then it's nearly too late. So the thing is, desire nothing, like, reject it, and that's I think that's the way. Reject it. Nothing will enslave you quicker than your desires. If you desire a house and go down to the bank and get a big stupid mortgage, I'll tell you from experience, nothing will enslave you more. You're just completely enslaved. You're working for the bank. The bank owns you. Like, the bank owns the house. You don't even own the house. The bank can take it if they crash the market, they can have a good go at taking the house. Like, but basically anything be taken away at a moment's notice. But it can enslave you too. And the same with a car. If you desire a car and you go down to the bank, get a big stupid loan for a car, like, your desires are enslaving you. Because I can tell you, I remember I lost everything, and at first, while it was a terrifying experience, but then in the end it was completely liberating, because I didn't have to get up and go to work. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to go. I didn't have to pay for all this stupid shit. It was gone. It was free. And this is why I say, thanks for nothing. It's a great achievement to have nothing. And then it's also a great achievement to be not owned by anybody, you know, not let anybody own you, not try to own anybody else, not try to possess anybody else, or not have somebody else try to possess you. And this is great because then you're free, you know, you're actually free. And when you're free, I'm not sure I want to sacrifice that freedom. Actually, I know I fucking don't sacrifice that freedom. And this, you know, and this is why I say, you know, if you have no desire to possess anybody or own anybody, you can stay free, and then you can stay just like love everybody and everything. Like, but some people are very hard to love. But Socrates says, you know, it's the ones that are hard to love that need it most. But the universe can be sneaky, you know. Um, like I answered this question like on Jordan Peterson, like, you know, one of Jordan Peterson's interviews yesterday, you know, he said perception is a problem, or is perception a problem? And I said, is perception a problem? That is the question. And then I was asked this again this morning, is perception a problem? So basically, like, my lifestyle, is my perception of it a problem? And no, my lifestyle, my perception of it is not a problem, or I would change it. But obviously, like, you know, what the universe does is it brings along somebody else who would see certain characteristics that might not be appealing to them, and then it's back to me, do I want to change? And it's absolutely no fucking way. That's when you really have to dig in your heels and reject it, because there's no absolutely if I wanted to change my lifestyle I would, but I'm most certainly not going to change it for anybody else. And I was just thinking this morning, the worst thing I could be is too good. I'd absolutely hate myself. And you know, like a lot of different religions talk about utopia. But for me, a utopia would be pure hell, you know. And like, but then there's the other extreme as well, like, because like yesterday I was looking at biography on a Ugandan butcher, a dictator, a Ugandan dictator, and he cut off everybody's heads and threw them to crocodiles, and he killed loads of his own men, killed loads of his own soldiers and everything else. And he said, oh, I got a vision from God. That this is the thing to do, and all the rest. Well, that's the devil's territory, like Egypt and Africa. That's the devil's territory. Like it's under the devil's jurisdiction. But not saying that. But I could explain this. But anyway, it's an interpretation of the opposites again. But the thing to remember is that he has choice in this. Just because you get these visions, you still have to take responsibility for your actions. You still have fucking choice. Everything is choice. Choice. Like me this morning, like, you know, I have a choice. And I say, yeah, grand, I'm making a choice. Reject it. Take it away. You know what I mean? Take it away. I desire nothing. I want nothing. And I'm going to make sure I stay wanting nothing. Because otherwise it's just like a donkey being led along with a carrot, you know? And this is how you get enslaved. Nothing will enslave you quicker than your desires. Or your aversions, because if you're free, if you're afraid to throw yourself into the abyss, or you're afraid to lose what I call the deficiency needs, this will enslave you as well. What would you do if you were not afraid? What would you do if you weren't afraid? What would you do if you weren't afraid of having no money, if you weren't afraid of having no food, or if you aren't afraid of having no shelter? But this is the thing, once you know. But in order to overcome these fears, you have to face them. You have to throw yourself into the abyss, or else you're going to spend the rest of your life living in fear. And then this is what causes you to cling to security and comfort. And the price of security and comfort is boredom, and boredom in which life loses all meaning. You know what I mean? And this then people are searching for meaning in life and searching for purpose in life. Well, if you didn't shit your pants and you weren't so afraid of losing everything, you'd have purpose and meaning, because you could go off and chase your dreams, chase your goals, or live. It takes courage to live. But my point is that this is why Africa, you know, like I looked at another lecture, then one of Dr. Suguru's lectures, where he was saying about the prophets were saying, like, you know, that the reason you're suffering is, you know, look at your actions, look at your sinful actions. And And this is why, yes, the prophets were right, because this is why Africa's down on its fucking hands and knees breaking cobalt out of the ground. They have to look at what to do to each other, like, you know. But this is where their free will is questionable. That they never stop and think about their actions and say to yourself, right, well, we could carry on differently. But this applies to the West as well. But then again, the thing is, like, I do look at my actions. And I do say to myself, yeah, yes, there's very likely to be consequences for these choices. But I say, no, I'm going to proceed as I see fit, and I'll take the consequences. I don't mind a bit of suffering. You know what I mean? You know, I remember one girl I met in this same hostel, and we were talking about the analogy of the sword. So basically, like, you know, we were saying that you're out for a certain role, but you know that it depends on your carbon content, but some people are forged in the fire. In order to make a fine Japanese sword, if you ever saw them making a Japanese sword, you have to fold the metal over, hammer it. You have to hammer the shit out of it. You have to really hammer it with the hammer, back in the fire, back out again, hammer it. So basically, like, you know, there's people with certain roles have to be forged in the fires of hell, and this is one of the ambiguities of suffering, you know. So we were talking about this, you know, how some of us, like, have to be forged in the fires of hell in order to make a fine Japanese sword that can cut through anything. So basically, then I was saying to her about 2 days later, you know, if you don't get the message stays getting louder. And this was in reference to her maybe partying or whatever it was, drug taking or whatever it was, and she just says to me, remember the sword? And I just started to laugh, and she says, yeah, you're right, you're 100% right. It's just more, we won't fear the suffering. It's just more conditioning, if you like. It's just this is what makes it hard as the hob of hell, suffering. But we won't fear it, like, I don't fear it. So basically, like, you know, this comes down to pure reason, you know. I'm not no desires and no aversions. I'll just decide, and I'll do what I think is right. No desires and aversions. Good morning.